Hey there guys, this is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tasuke, and you've been waiting for this for a while, I imagine. It's time for me to review Dragon Ball XenoVerse. I guess I'll start off by saying the version I got was the PS3 version because one, it was cheaper, and two, I kind of wanted to finish off the I wanted to finish off the Dragon Ball series on PS3 and get ready to move on to the PS4. Plus, I played the network test on PS3. I don't think they were doing it on PS4. But, yeah, I'm going to give my review. I guess I'll start, since, you know, it's multi-platform, and it's also one of those generational games. Graphically, as far as I could tell, and Mike Labrie on the Konzenchi podcast already mentioned this as well, but in terms of graphic power, there isn't really too much of a difference between the versions of the game. Like, yeah, obviously the PS4 version is going to look better than the PS3 version, but there's not too much of a difference. In fact, I feel like in the general cutscenes, like the CGI cutscenes and not just the more, I don't know, like there are certain cutscenes that look like they would go on the PS4 version just as the actual game. I did notice that there was a bit of frame droppage and I guess a little bit of lag on the PS3 version, both in the main hub, Toki Toki City, as well as in the actual like fighting when there are a lot of characters on screen. But it's not too bad, and I imagine the PC version is probably the best looking and best operating out of all of them. Though I'm pretty sure the PS3 and I keep saying I'm pretty sure the PS4 version runs at 60 frames, or at least close to 60. But yeah, I've been playing it on a PS3. This game's big claim to fame is that you get to make your own character, and I did just that. You can play as a Saiyan or a Saiyan, however you want to say it, a Namekian, a human, a Majin, and a Frieza person. They don't actually give Frieza's race a name. They just call it Frieza's race or Frieza's clan. I think they formally call it Frieza's clan, but I just say Frieza person because it's funny. I made a Saiyan because I want to do a little bit of role playing, like because I played Ultimate Tenkaichi and they let you make your own Saiyan in that game. I wanted to kind of do a thing where like my character got brought over into the XenoVerse world because the story has to do with like time travel and whatnot, so it can kind of work if you're a writer and you have a bunch of OCs like, oh, they're bringing in my character from a different world. It kind of works well in that way. Your character will fit in even if they visually don't look like a Dragon Ball character. As you'll probably see in the footage, I was able to make a couple of my OCs, or like 3 of them. I was able to make that Scare character I've talked about a few times, and one of my females, and a new character in the workings in my story, my big story that Scare's from, and this other female character, there is a Frieza-like race, and this particular character is the last member of that race. So I wanted to try to make him since I had the opportunity. I feel like visually I did a pretty good job. But that's not what you're here to talk about. You want to know about just the customization in general, not my musings on stories. But so I tried to make him as close as I could to my Ultimate Tenkaichi guy. I think I might have messed up on the build a little bit because he looked a little too bulky. I wanted my character to be kind of thin. Like I wanted him to be muscular but thin. You can't really change the size of your character that much. You can make him really short or tall, but in terms of like the weight, it's really just 3 levels of super muscular, with the lowest one just being just like a typical muscle guy, like a Superman, like a slim Superman like build, I guess you could say. And that's what I was going for, but I think I accidentally chose the middle one. I can't even really tell. He looks fine to me, and you know, I think he looks cool from what I did. I gave him red hair as you would probably guess for me to do. I do that in all the games where you get to make your own character. Always red hair, nothing else. And he has a sword. I do have Tapion's sword that you can unlock, but it didn't really feel right for my character, I felt. So I just stuck with the ninja sword. from Dragon Ball, that purple ninja guy that Goku fights during the I believe it's the Red Ribbon Army arc, and then once again during like the Kami stuff. Either that or it's filler in the Kami section. But at any rate, the customization I thought overall was pretty good, especially if you look at like for the Frieza person. It's kind of fun to sort of customize them. And each character has sort of like different perks. As far as I can tell, the Saiyans seem to be the ones who are like the most underplayed. Like they seem to have like the worst attack. I guess I could never do that much damage early on. It wasn't until like late game where I started like being able to like pump out a lot of damage, where I got really comfortable with fighting a group of characters that I knew were really strong. Like in this game, since I know the Dragon Ball series so well, like whenever I would see like a group of characters that I knew were really strong, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do that mission. But my guy ended up being able to take on the entire Ginyu force by himself, including Captain Ginyu. So I guess he ended up being pretty strong. Of course, he beat up Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu, and Beerus. But at any rate, the Majins are also kind of the male ones, because with the male ones, you can only be a fat Buu. For the females, they let you be a thin Majin Buu. So I guess it's sort of like a do you want fat Buu or kid Buu? And I kind of get that, but at the same time, I kind of wish they'd let you kind of play around with the size a little bit more. That was probably my only thing. Even if in Dragon Ball Z you think of really muscular characters, I still feel like it would have been nice to just be able to generally customize the size of your character a little bit more. And another complaint I have with it is also one of the things that I think makes it more interesting is that this game takes a lot from Dragon Ball Online, that MMO that shut down a while ago. And by a while ago, I mean like several years ago. I think probably like 3, 4, or 5 years ago. But this game takes primarily from that. It doesn't really take much from other stuff. Like, I kind of wish it also took more from Dragon Ball Heroes. Like, the only thing that it really takes from Dragon Ball Heroes is the female Super Saiyans and the Frieza people. That's the only thing they really take from that series. And I guess some of the general designs of the characters they took from that as well. But I feel like I kind of wish they had taken, like, used both Dragon Ball Heroes and Dragon Ball Online, because that would have made customization a lot more fun. I think you could have even made a android as well. At least it looked like an android. And so yeah, customization could have used a little bit of extra work, but overall I think it was a nice first effort. The story is very similar to Dragon Ball Online. You know, you've got Time Patrol Trunks, and you know he's trying to fix different time periods, and he uses the Dragon Balls and Shenron to summon a new fighter who happens to be you to kind of help him solve this problem of like the timelines being distorted by some evil demonic force, making characters a lot stronger and smarter than they actually are and more evil. Like there's one mission where it affects Hercule, and he actually gets really powerful. Like he starts flying, he starts doing more damage, and he gets like this aura that he can do. It's pretty scary and whatnot. And the people who are doing that are the characters Toa and Mira from Dragon Ball Online. Toa actually happens to be she happens to be friggin' Deborah's little sister of all things. They don't even look that similar. I find it kind of interesting. And Deborah's not even in the game, period, as far as I've seen. I don't know if they'll do it for DLC. But so yeah, that's the main story. And then this new guy named Demigrub, he shows up. He ends up being like the big bad guy, and he ends up being more powerful than I think Toa actually. And you're kind of going through the different Dragon Ball arcs from Saiyan to Beerus. They actually include Battle of Gods in this. And you kind of try to fix things there, and then you end up fighting Demigra. And there's some missions where it kind of messes with the timeline even more a little bit, from what I've seen. But that's probably the most they actually do. Some of the stuff they do is pretty interesting, like with Raditz. You know, they have him to where he dodges Piccolo's special beam cannon, and then it still hits Goku, then he blasts Piccolo and kills him. There's another one where Captain Ginyu takes Vegeta's body, and So none of the Ginyu Force members actually died, and they all beat up Goku until he takes his body. And then Goku gets switched with Vegeta, and then they beat up Vegeta, Goku, and like it's mainly. And then they do like little surprises of like your character getting attacked as well. Like it's really kind of minor stuff. It's not like super expansive. So from that standpoint, players might take this as sort of like they didn't want to mess with the timeline too much yet. It's sort of like wanting to do something but not wanting to at the same time because you're scared. It's almost kind of like that, I think. Which it's okay for a first time, but I feel like it could have been a little bit more. It would have been interesting if they played with the timeline a little bit, because in this story, you know, they're given the chance to do that. It's not like it's going to ruin Dragon Ball Z canon because this game will suddenly be considered canon. It's just a video game. But, you know, it's still a nice story, and it's kind of cool seeing Trunks again, and, you know, the Supreme Kai of Time is cool. I like her. And Toki Toki, the pigeon guy, he's pretty cool. Toa and Mira I recognized from Dragon Ball Online, and it was kind of nice getting to see them in full form, because I never got that far in Dragon Ball Online. After I played it like once and I was done. Like once or twice and I was done. Demigra, the new character they introduced for this, it's kind of funny because, you know, he looks more like a Dragon Quest character than a Dragon Ball character, and it's funny considering Akira Toriyama designs both series. But it's funny, Demigra looks more like a Dragon Quest villain, like a final bad guy, like an evil sorcerer or something. In fact, he's one of the two characters who doesn't use hardly any martial arts. He just hits people with his staff and does magic. He does have this one combo where he'll do like a like this rapid kick and then teleport, then rapid kick and then teleport and rapid kick. But other than that, he just hits you with his staff and does magic. Whis also mainly fights with his staff, though he's also pretty busted and powerful anyway. And of course, you know, it was in Battle of Gods, you know, it was confirmed that Whis was actually stronger than Beerus. So, and that there's a specific fight involving Beerus and Whis that actually I'll have to talk about later on. But so yeah, like Demigra, it was interesting because he looked more like a Dragon Quest character, and it was kind of an interesting blend. I liked it from that standpoint because, you know, they were letting players bring in their own Dragon Ball characters where, you know, if you're a writer or if you're a role player on Tumblr or something, Dragon Ball may not necessarily be your forte. For me, it is, but so I feel like my general characters fit in. I found that I wasn't really able to make too many characters because the game just didn't have enough to really warrant making them. Like one of my characters has an actual like tail, like Goku did, because he's sort of like a Sun Wukong archetype. But as far as I've seen, this game doesn't have an accessory for like a monkey tail. And they only give you like a slot for one, so it's like you kind of have to pick your poison if you wanted him to wear like a headband or something. Or some other accessory and have the monkey tail as well. Or a scouter even. Gameplay, I find, is it's a bit better than what I remember playing from the network test. I still feel like the combos are not really, I say still as if I made a video. I don't think I ever made a video about the network test, but if you've listened to my podcast, you already know that I felt like in the network test, the combos weren't really that good. And I'm sure some people will disagree with me. I've seen some people saying that they really like the combos and whatnot, but for me personally, they're okay. Like, I just feel like they're not really enough combos, or they're too hard to execute. And maybe it's because I'm playing as the Saiyan, but like the main combo is just usually just like punch, 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 kick, punch, uppercut, or some sort of variation on that. It ends with an uppercut, and I find that no matter how hard I try to do a different button combination, it always leads to that fucking uppercut. And there are some other combos you can do, but it's like, it's just not expansive enough. And I guess it's maybe because I was expecting something like Brave Soldiers, and for those of you who are going to be like, what are you talking about? Saint Seiya and Dragon Ball are two different series. I know that, but Dimps made both of them. Heck, the fucking Seiya kick. You know, that kick in Brave Soldiers where Seiya does that rapid kick in the air? Goku has that too, except it's a little bit faster, and even the pose he makes is literally the exact same. I'll try to pull it off in the footage, and if you've seen Brave Soldiers, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I'll try to put like a marker in the description or something if I remember. But overall, I just didn't really find the combos to be really that expansive. I didn't really find the game to be too hard. I did find it to be kind of hard, but I don't think the combos really had much to do with it. I just think it was a difficulty thing. But I do wish that they went for more of a Brave Soldiers route. I think that would have made it more fun. Heck, the Budokai Tenkaichi games kind of did that anyway, so I find it strange that, you know, Dimps didn't do that for XenoVerse. I'm not entirely sure what their idea was, and with the combat in mind, you know, it's primarily martial arts for your custom character. They're, like I said, you know, Demigod, if he's even playable in the future, and Whis and Trunks, since they have weapons, they can use weapons. Trunks obviously being like a combination. Like if you press triangle or the strong attack button, this game has a weak attack, strong attack system, which again makes me feel like that the combos are not done well, because I'm playing on PlayStation. You know, you should have different combos, unique combos for square triangle, square square triangle, square 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 triangle, and so on. It shouldn't just be the same uppercut over and over that ends up making you feel like you're doing a combo that has a longer string. Like I try to do like square square triangle, but it feels like but when I actually start doing that, it feels like I'm doing square 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 triangle or something. And with the weapons, you know, they let you have like items that would be weapons as like accessories. Like I said, my guy has like a ninja katana, and I have Tapion's sword, and I think I have Yamta's sword as well, but I didn't use it. And I used a Tapion's sword for a little bit, but it didn't feel right, so I did the ninja samurai sword. But your character can't use it, and from what I've heard, there are actually weapon attacks you can do, but they don't like use your character's equipped accessory if they have one. They just like pull out just this random sword or this random staff or whatever. And so I kind of wish they either made it to where you could kind of set your style that way, or like get the ability to do that somehow, or like if it made you like either take away your energy blasts or take away your strong attack for like a weapon. I would have been fine with that, even if it made me have to change my gameplay style a little bit. Or if like you learned it from like training under Trunks or Whis. You actually can't train under Whis, but like if you're training under, you can't train under Trunks either. But like if you could, like that'd be cool. So I feel like I know, yeah, Dragon Ball is not for like it's not about like weaponry and whatnot. But I mean, if you're gonna, I feel like they should have at least given the option, because it would have made the character seem more unique. Like if you made a guy who used a sword. And, you know, who knows, maybe for DLC they'll do that, or throw in characters that just use their weapon, or more characters that just use their weapons, because, again, Whis does that, and he's a playable character. Demigod does that. He's not a playable character. But you get what I mean, you know. It's not really a complaint, but more of just something I wish they would have done. The music, I think, is generally fine. I mean, I do like that when you're not fighting anybody, it's a like sort of like quiet, peaceful music. Not really peaceful, but it's more like anticipation music. Then when you go into fight, it does like a more action music, and I really like doing that in the Namekian planet Namek level. I don't know, it just kind of adds to the scenery and the atmosphere. And the levels themselves are pretty big too. This game has a bit of an exploration aspect to it, and sort of like an RPG, sort of like farming, mining element to it. Because in missions, you'll sometimes see characters you can talk to, and they'll give you their energy, or they'll talk to you, or give you something, and you can blow up buildings or rocks or whatever to like pick up stuff or stuff's been hidden. I've been playing on PlayStation 3, and if you press left on the D-pad, you can pull up like a scouter thing where it'll pull up not only data of your characters, but also like locations of items around the area. And so it's kind of fun to find stuff like that. There are also, I think, drops as well from characters, and that's sort of where more of the MMO elements come into play. Like, I had to do that when I wanted to get a ×20 Kaioken, which is a story in of itself. Like, the quest Saiyan Pride, where I'll probably even play it in the gameplay footage, just for those who care. But yeah, there's this parallel quest, they're called, called Saiyan Pride, where you're on planet Namek and you have Vegeta on your team with a choice of 2 other characters. I always did Beerus, and because I got the Day 1 edition, a Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and you had regular Vegeta on your team. And you would fight Gohan, Krillin, and then Goku would show up. And then if you met some requirements, he would go times 20 Kaioken. And then if you beat him, you'd get times 20 Kaioken. But the thing is, like, every time he would go times 20 Kaioken, it's like he would target Vegeta. And it was a bit of a pain because he would always die no matter how hard I try. And I would just wail on him. And it just seemed like, I don't know, like, during the podcast, the guy who was reviewing it with me gave some other pointers that I would have tried had I not finished it yet. I finally beat it, but I did it mainly just by being over-leveled and just rushing in and beating the crap out of Goku, and I finally got it, but it was still a bit of a pain. Some of these missions can be a bit of a pain. Like, I'm doing one right now where you have to find 6 of the Dragon Balls and you're fighting Cell Juniors. There's one where it seems like the Dragon Ball is out of bounds and I just can't find it, and I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Maybe there's just something I'm missing. I bet there's some YouTuber or some viewer out there who's gonna be like, "You idiot, it's over there." And please, if you're gonna actually comment, please tell me where it is, but don't call me an idiot. That would hurt my feelings, and I would have to go Kaioken and kill you. But the parallel missions are where you get to do more fighting, and you can kind of customize your team a little bit, and also sort of where elements from Battle of Z actually were better, because one of the general gameplay is just a lot better. You know, it's just a lot better. You can kind of pick your skills, and, you know, Super Saiyan is considered an ultimate, whereas Kaioken is a regular super, and so you can have both. You can't go Super Kaioken or anything like that. The Saiyans can go up to Super Saiyan 2, which is what I use, and I use times 20 Kaioken, and I've got just a little combo thing that I do that does a lot of damage, or it's one of my favorite, like, little combo moves, and that's my main combo because I usually chain into it. And I've got Captain Ginyu's Milky Cannon because it's broken, and I've got Frieza's Death Ball because it's broken. And I use, you know, I'll go more into, like, my actual gameplay experience later on, but yeah. But besides that general gameplay thing, it's better than Battle Z because when you get KO'd, like, you still get KO'd and your people can heal you. But for me, like, they always come in and try to heal me. It's not like something they do in passing, and it's not like you have to, like, set, like, their strategies or anything like that, or especially a character that's specified to, like, do healing or whatever. Like, they actually come in and try to heal me, and, you know, they can get, like, distracted, or, like, they can get, like, interrupted, but, like, if you have more than one person trying to heal you, it'll go faster. Also, another thing that Battle Z didn't do very well that XenoVerse does a lot better, you want to know how you unlock the other characters? You fight them and then you beat them, or you see them in the story mode. That's how you get the other characters. You just do the missions, and you beat the missions, whatever mission you happen to be doing, be a story one or a parallel quest, and you get that character. You get that version of that character. Which is a lot better than having to, like, get, like, an A rank just to unlock one version of a character. It's actually a bit of a pain, if you ask me. But the parallel quests are pretty fun. They give the game more life. Sorry if I sound nasally. I was picking my nose. That's gross. Anyway. As far as... in terms of... actually, yeah, the characters, like... The character roster, it's okay. They do some weird things. There's some stuff you would probably expect, like Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and from what I understand, Super Saiyan 4 Goku. They're separate people. Super Saiyan God Goku is a separate character, like they did in Battle Z. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, or Super Saiyan Gohan that can also turn Super Saiyan 2 Gohan from the Cell Saga, is a separate character, which I kind of get just from the standpoint of during the main story, like, he doesn't really go out of Super Saiyan until, like, near the end. I guess I kind of get that, but, you know, he's out of Super Saiyan, like, at the end, also when he, like, goes out, and also in the BoJack movie. So it's like it's not like they didn't have a design for it. But that's just me. And the costumes I feel like are kind of a bit of a problem as well, because like the costumes in general, like a lot of them are just like the repeat over and over, and it's mainly for the skill set. Like say if you want Goku to go Super Saiyan 3, you have to pick a certain costume, and if you pick that costume, you get that skill set. You can't pick a costume and then like pick a skill set or customize them or anything. So like if you wanted to like rearrange their supers and their ultimate for that character, if you wanted to rearrange them to kind of fit your play style, you can't really do that. Which I kind of wish you could, because then, you know, that would have made characters a little more comfortable, I think. I know, I kind of get that they did. I understand they wanted you to focus mainly on your custom character, and I get that, but at the same time, just the lack of decent costumes is kind of strange. And they even do like battle damage ones, which I feel like are okay for certain characters, but I don't think they really have a place for every single character. I think it's kind of cool when characters get battle damaged, but I don't know. I kind of wish that, and I've heard the argument that like for the parallel missions, you're pulling the characters from their time period. Yet at the same time, it's like that's just trying to put a bit of a story element to the game. I don't think that's actually what's going on. Not to mention in terms of the parallel quests, like I don't remember them making any mention. I don't think Trunks ever said, "Oh, you can bring people from other time periods with you." I don't remember him ever saying that. I think it was just more for like the gameplay aspect of it. So some people might say it works with the story, but I feel like it just kind of makes things a little awkward. That's just me though. I would have liked being able to do certain things with the game, I guess. Though they do give you a fair amount of cool costumes, and graphically the models look nice. Like, I think Pickle looks really cool because he looks kind of like demonic. Like, he doesn't really look like a super nice guy, which I like. He looks like a typical Namekian, I guess. I don't know, but yeah. So that's the costumes, and the roster in general is okay. I imagine they're going to be doing more characters. Like for the first DLC, they're adding in some GT people. The first part of GT, I believe. And then I think for the second one, it's going to do more GT. And there's a rumor that Resurrection F, as it's being called now, is going to get a DLC, which I guess is useful because the whole Golden Frieza thing and whatnot, as well as the costumes of the different characters. So, in terms of adding onto the story and speaking of movies, like I feel like this game is very Battle of Gods centric. I guess which makes me wonder if they had been planning this game since around the time of Battle of Gods. It makes me wonder though if they wanted to make a game that used the assets from Dragon Ball Online, because it had a really interesting lore, and just the idea of like messing up the timeline and giving Trunks or future Trunks a more prominent role. He does act a little different than you would probably expect from future Trunks, but people need to remember, like, he's not like stressed all the time right now. He's sort of in like a different. This is a different kind of future Trunks. This is like BoJack era future Trunks, where he's more relaxed. I actually kind of wish he had the longer hair, because I feel like that would have made him look more distinct, and I kind of associate that look with future Trunks anyway. I know with future Trunks, like, the general iconic thing is the sword, which he has, and the general design just is straight from Dragon Ball Online. The same with Toa and Mira, as well as several of the classes from that you can pick, with the exception of the Frieza people. That one's more like from Dragon Ball Heroes, as well as the Super Saiyan hair, which honestly, just a little sidetrack. The Super Saiyan hair, while it's nice, like, they don't like spike up. I feel like it was a bit of a cop-out, because like when your character goes Super Saiyan, the hair just turns yellow. I guess their mentality is that like not every character's hair spike up, but I feel like that's only for like a couple of characters, and even still, like it still kind of gets a bit bigger and they get more muscular. But anyway, back to the story. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but it seems very Battle of Gods centric to me, because you know when Beerus and Whis still kind of have sort of like that overpowering aura about them. I think, like even like when Demigras starts taking over people, he tries to take over Beerus, but then it turns out, oh, yeah, you can't take over Beerus, so I'm gonna beat you up. And then he goes back to Toki Toki City with the player character you. He and Whis go back with you, and they're all like, okay, we're gonna go kill a Demigras now. He used me. He used Beerus. That's not good. That's unforgivable, and that's really, 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 really mean. But then Trunks is all like, no, let us do it, Lord Beerus. And then Whis is all like, why don't you try testing them? And he's all like, that's a good idea. I'm going to try that. And so that's what comes up as one of the more difficult missions, because it's just you and Trunks. Trunks is locked at level fucking 46. And Beerus, you fight Beerus, who's level 66, and Whis, who's level 60 fucking 8. And this fight was hard because, like, just because of the way I was playing, but like Trunks seemed to get hit a lot and like lose a lot of his HP. And one thing that I kind of don't like, yet I also kind of understand, it's more of just I don't like it. They give you healing items that you can use, which are useful, and they also give you healing items to heal your teammates. But in like story missions or missions where you have a required character that joins your party, if you use that item, it's only going to heal you. So it's really more for the online players or the parallel quests where you can choose your own team, or just to kind of cheat the system a little bit and have more than one medium-sized healing item, because they limit you to like one per size, and they only give you 4 slots. So, you know. And Beerus honestly is easier because he didn't really have any like auto guard or insta shield or whatever you call it. Or he did, but it was easier to break him, and he actually it's kind of funny, like they both kind of took my hits pretty they kind of took a fair amount of my hits by the time I got to like 53 when I finally beat them. But I generally fought Beerus first, and I would try doing things like fight them both and get their HP down, because they were special and they got to have 2 health bars. And so I would get them down to their 2nd health bar, because that's when which is like, oh, why don't we let them handle it? And Beard's like, no. And so I finally beat them. And it was funny because I was listening to Yukimura Sanada's from Samurai Warriors. I was listening to his image song from Samurai Warriors 3Z called Seimei no Taka, which is like one of my favorite songs right now. And I feel like he kind of gave me power. Like, Yukimura was all like, take my energy! And I was all like, ah! Castle Gate Spears! I'm probably going to leave that cough in, but at any rate, that's when I finally beat it, and it was also probably due to my grinding. And I also got Death Ball, which I found to be pretty broken. I was using Scatter Kamehameha for the longest time. The game gives you Weekend to start off with, I believe. Or no, they give you like this random volley of attacks. But then I got Weekend, which ended up being pretty powerful, because when you just do it regularly, like you just shoot 2 long energy beam. It's like you're shooting 2 Kamehamehas in each hand, like a Kamehameha for each hand. But then if you press down, like you make sort of like a V. But what that ends up, I think they should have said an X, because to me it looks like the beams cross over into one, and that actually increases the damage. And I trained under Krillin because Krillin's cool. I'm actually one of the people who, despite typical fan argument, I like Krillin. I think he's cool. I like Tien and Yamcha as well, but I also like Krillin, and I'm like, oh, I'll train under Krillin. And so then, like, you know, he he taught me Scatter Kamehameha, and I feel kind of bad because I wanted to learn Milky Cannon, so I thought, okay, I'll go to Captain Ginyu, and I switched to Captain Ginyu, and I went back to talk to Krillin, and he was all like, oh, you're leaving. Well, I hope you take what you've learned from me and apply it to your new master. Knowing you, you'll probably do fine. Good luck. I'm just like, Krillin, you're hurting my feelings because you're taking this so well and you're being nice. When you leave, it's kind of funny because Captain Ginyu's like, what? You're leaving the Ginyu Force? Was the train too hard? Did the other members bully you? Is it because snack time came around? Like, this game is actually kind of funny. And now I'm at Cell, who's all like, I guess I'll train you. I would totally hug you if that was something I would do. Or, I guess you did okay. I mainly want to learn, like, his full power solar super Kamehameha. I don't think I really want to anymore, though, because I've got whatchamahoo's it? I've got a Death Ball, which is pretty busted. It does a lot of damage, and it looks like it homes in on the enemy, too. And it's really useful, too. Like, in later missions where I ran out of healing items and was low on health, I would just spam it over and over. And I didn't like doing that. I didn't want to make this a Dragon Roar incident like in Star Ocean, but I felt like it kind of went that way at certain points, except here I had a little bit more control, personally. But, yeah, voice acting, I feel like, moving on to voice acting, I guess, I feel like is pretty good. It's the Kai quality, so it's pretty good. There's some weak lines, I guess, and one thing that I wanted to note here is that there's a little more swearing this time around. Like, characters will say damn, and I find that interesting because, you know, there's Dragon Ball Kai is no longer on Nicktoons anymore. Now it's on Adult Swim, so on that Toonami thing. So I guess there's no more of a standard for like the younger fan base who still are not used to the swearing. I feel like they're trying to cater more towards like the hardcore Dragon Ball fans while also catering to like the fans who grew up with the series, because this game seems to have gotten a lot of attention from fans of the series. I know a lot of people have been playing it, and also probably hearing a lot of Resurrection F. But it's definitely getting a lot of attention, and it's funny because Beerus doesn't say damn it. He says, "Where's that Dawn Super Saiyan God?" And it's kind of, I found it kind of interesting. Is like, you know, everyone's been saying damn, yet here, I don't know. Maybe it's just because, like, you know, like in a lot of anime characters will always say damn. They don't always say darn that much. I'm sure there's an equivalent for darn, but I know a lot of characters will say damn and such. So I don't know. Maybe it's just more like a typical anime dub where there's not much swearing, but people will say damn and call each other bastards and say fuck. No, I'm kidding. But I think those are all the points I really wanted to make. So my overall impression was that it's really, really good. It's a really fun game, and I think it's probably one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z games in a while, but I feel like it's not perfect. I feel like, you know, one of the combos, I feel like they really should have taken what they've learned from Brave Soldiers and applied it here if they're going to fucking take the fucking Seiya kick. Like, good lord, I might make a separate video just showing you guys that, yes, they took that fucking kick and gave it to Goku. And also, the character roster, I think, could have used a bit more, as well as I think they should have managed the costumes and different techniques of the characters from different eras a little bit better. I kind of would have preferred it if they were separate, so that you could kind of just pick what version you want, and then, because like, say like you like a certain look for Vegeta, but you want him to go Super Saiyan. Like, say you like his old Saiyan armor where he had the pauldrons and the little skirt thing and the scouter, but you want him to go Super Saiyan, which is funny because they show that in one of the parallel missions. But it's something, I guess. And another thing, the customization, yeah, for the first time, I feel like it was good. Like, I feel like this is a very good first time game, though at the same time this game feels very much like an MMO. Like, even if you want to play single player, they still like connect you to the internet because they want to give you the illusion of playing online with other people, and other players will show up as NPCs and you can like recruit them. And there are plenty of regular regular NPCs as well, but their names are kind of sort of like usernames in a way, and your name shows up above your character's head, and there's the main hub. It's very much like a Dragon Ball MMO. I almost wonder if like XenoVerse is intended to be a better Dragon Ball Online. I'm wondering if that's why they brought it to PC and every other platform. And there's no like menu to like pick like if you just want to fight people. You can do like just fighting if you want. If you want it to be that kind of Dragon Ball game, you can do that. But you still have to go through like pick a created character and go into Toki Toki City and do that. So even with that in mind, I feel like I guess that's a bit of a other detractor because it feels like it's trying to be two things at once when it really should just shoot for one or the other, I guess. I imagine if they make a sequel, things will be refined. With it being the first game and with this being Dimp's first Dragon Ball game in a while and being the first of its kind, with this little timeline thing and the general battle system, even though it's similar to Budokai Tenkaichi and Brave Soldiers, and the whole character customization thing, even if it's like a second try, or I guess third if you actually count Dragon Ball Heroes. But basically, it was a very good first effort, and it makes me expect XenoVerse 2, if they ever make one, to be a lot better. I imagine I'll probably get that on PS4. And if they do, and if they let you import your character, I hope there's like a cross thing, because I don't know, I mean, I guess they probably won't, but it'd be cool to do more role-playing, especially if they do more. The ending animation... Oh, I forgot about the opening sucks. The opening is not very good. The only time it's decent is when it's after when you make your character, because there's a part where Trunks is like moving his mouth and he's trying to talk and he's like, "Give me a strong ally." But when you actually open up the game, they play that exact same intro. But without the voiceover, and it just looks really tacky and bad. It plays Flo's Chala Hechala, which YouTube doesn't seem to like, or streamers don't seem to like. And then like the ending anime cinematic is just really crappy looking. Even Beerus and Whis look really bad, and Goku. The only one who looks good is the Supreme Kai of Time and Toki Toki. And I heard there's supposed to be a special movie somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, so it was a very good first. Oh, what I was gonna say was at the end they show Toa again, because you kill Mira and you kill Demigra, but you don't kill Toa. So it almost like the game's opening up for a sequel with maybe a Toa resurrecting Mira or doing something. It's kind of interesting. I at least feel like this game could have at least one sequel. Or at least a spiritual successor, maybe. So I feel like it could continue, or maybe they'll do it through DLC. If this game is going for the MMO route, I imagine there's going to be a lot of DLC and expansions, but I guess we'll have to see where things go. But overall, I'd probably give it like a 8.5 out of 10, maybe. Because I feel like it was really good, but it could have used a little bit of extra work. It's just more like that. It's not really bad in that aspect either. I just think it could have used a little bit of extra polishing, and the servers had a lot of trouble. Apparently the PS4s were the worst. I think probably also because of the netcode, but also because, well, probably the majority of the players are playing it on PS4. There are a lot of people that I've seen on PS3, but yeah, that's my review of XenoVerse, and so I hope you enjoy this, and if you're interested in this game, you should definitely pick it up. I'd recommend it, especially if you're a Dragon Ball fan. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.